that we're picking up of the ultimate Congress hypocrisy. Another affidavit accessed by Republic TV in 2014. Can we just show that paper up, Akshita? In 2014, the Congress party named Varavara Rao's group. Is that correct? They named Varavara Rao's group as a Maoist front organization, as a CPI Maoist front organization. Akshita joining us with the details.
Yes, Niranjan, this is a reply that we've accessed, a reply given by the UPA government in 2014 in the Lok Sabha. Let me just highlight some details mentioned here. This is on the date of 18th February 2014. It's mentioned clearly front organizations for Naxalites. I'll give you details of the question that was asked in the Lok Sabha. It says clearly the names of such organizations operating out of Delhi and various other parts of the country, whether the government has identified such organizations working for the Naxalites. This was the question that was asked in the Lok Sabha, after which the answer that's come is this. I'm going to show you this table now, Niranjan, and this is for all of our viewers to see the entire list of organizations that's been mentioned. This is a list that goes up almost 74 organizations that have been named from across the country. And the very first name that's mentioned out of organizations based out of Andhra Pradesh, the very first organization mentioned here is the Revolutionary Writers Association. And this is an organization that belongs to Varavara Rao, that's run by Varavara Rao. Let me once again put it across to you in the form of what the question was. The question that was asked to the UPA government in 2014 was, have you identified the organizations that are working with the Naxalites, that's working with the CPI Maoists? And a reply that came in from the MHA in the Lok Sabha has clearly stated that the front organizations, let me show this document to you once again. In the reply, it says here that the front organizations also facilitate procurement of supplies, etc. to the Maoist war machinery. They also initiate legal action on various issues to slow down the enforcement regime. On occasions during operations by security forces, the CPI Maoist underground cadres shift to softer areas. On such occasions, the overground front organizations provide safe hideouts to armed cadres. You know, this is very similar to the narrative that's being built today, where you've got the police coming out and giving us details of not just an arms racket, of exactly what these organizations were doing. And all of this, Niranjan, has been mentioned by the MHA of the UPA government in 2014. The first name mentioned in the 74 organizations that have been named is that of the Revolutionary Writers Association, an organization that belongs to Varavara Rao. We're screening this list further because, as I told you, 74 organizations have been named. We're screening this further to see exactly who the other organizations, who the other Maoist backers are, and whose organizations do these really belong to. So this is very, very crucial that's come out. This is a reply that came out in 18 February 2014.
List once again, Akshita, let's go through that list. The first organization, front organization named by the Congress party in 2014 in a response in Lok Sabha is Varavara Rao's group, that is Virasam, also called Virasam. It's called the Revolutionary Writers Association. Number one on the Congress's list. So in 2014, they called it an NGO, a front organization for Maoists. In 2018, they're saying that it is only an NGO. Let's take our viewers through that list again, Akshita.
Niranjan, this is the reply that we've put out. This is from 2014, 18th February 2014, a reply from the MHA of the UPA government on a question that was asked. This is the specific question that was asked, whether the government has identified organizations working for the Naxalites. If so, the names of such organizations operating out of Delhi and various other parts of the country. Now you see the reply here. It's mentioned very categorically that this is from the MHA. RPN Singh has been named here, and we'll try to, of course, get in a response as well from Mr. RPN Singh on this. It's clearly stated here that on occasions during operations by security forces, the overground front organizations provide safe hideouts to armed cadres. Goes on to say that these front organizations also facilitate procurement of supplies to the Maoist war machinery. They also initiate legal actions on various issues to slow down the enforcement regime. They're also adept at dissemination of propaganda, disinformation to demonize the state and the security forces. It's also come to notice that members of such front organizations are mentoring professional revolutionaries to be inducted into the underground movement. It also states here, the government, the UPA government in 2014, stating in the Lok Sabha officially on record, the activities of the CPI Maoist and its front organizations are closely monitored. Suitable action wherever warranted is taken by the state governments concerned. Once again, they have said that the state governments have been given full permission to take any action. Now let's take you through the list that's been given here. 74 organizations that have been named. The very first one, and they've detailed it according to which state each of these organizations are operating out of. Andhra Pradesh is the first state mentioned. The very first name there, the Revolutionary Writers Association, belongs to Varavara Rao. So there is really the most brazen proof really that the Congress did in fact seek action against Varavara Rao, did identify him as a Maoist backer, did identify him to be linked to the CPI Maoist, and thereby serious questions will be asked of the Congress as to why they've decided to play this kind of unnecessary politics today, where they're backing these people, where they're calling them activists. And keep in mind, Ranjan, this only adds to the fact that in 2013, there was an affidavit that the UPA government put out where they said very clearly human rights activists running NGOs under the garb of NGOs are continuing to provide any sort of help required to CPI Maoists. And this here is the proof that was given in the Lok Sabha in written, a list of the organizations that are as fronts for the CPI Maoists, and also naming, of course, the kind of action that will be taken, putting the onus on state governments to take whatever action they feel is warranted, Niranjan.
Yeah, and let's also go across to, because there are two affidavits that Republic TV has accessed, one affidavit from 2013 and one affidavit from 2014. The affidavit in 2013 says that Maoists have front organizations. That was in 2013. In 2014, the latest one that Akshita has been able to access, it shows that Congress had named Varavara Rao's group. So the same Congress party which named Varavara Rao's group as a front organization for Maoists in 2014 is today saying it's nothing but an NGO. Now both the affidavits are with Republic. Nalini has a copy of one of the affidavits, the one filed in 2013. Nalini, if you can show our viewers what that affidavit said and what the Congress itself admitted on Maoists and their front organization.
Absolutely, Niranjan. If I could just read out from this affidavit that was filed by the Ministry of Home Affairs under the UPA government before the Supreme Court. And the kind of statements that are made in this affidavit by the then ruling dispensation, which was, of course, led by the Congress party, are extremely shocking because they go on to talk about this one particular organization called the CPI Maoist Party, which was recognized as a terrorist organization. And this is the same party that the Maharashtra police is alleging that all of these accused are supposedly linked with, because of which they have been arrested and are being charged with sections under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. And with respect to this organization, the Congress party and the UPA government clearly made statements regarding about how they are trying to spread terror against the current government throughout the people of the country, and they are doing this by, through getting arms and ammunition from outside within the country, and also by mobilizing people on a larger scale, especially in urban areas and especially within the youth of the community. What they also go on to say is that this particular organization, and in fact not just these, any kind of
Nalini, just sorry to interrupt you there, just getting a reaction on reaction to this breaking news story here on Republic TV. I think Dinesh Varshne of the CPI is joining us on the phone line. Mr. Varshne, we've just accessed the Congress party's response in the Lok Sabha. The government, the then UPA government in 2014 February said, and I quote, "The front organizations facilitate procurement of supplies to the Maoist war machinery. They also initiate legal action on various issues to slow down enforcement regime. They are also adept at dissemination of propaganda and disinformation to demonize the state and of security forces." And I'll put this question to you as well, Nalini, because this is exactly what the police said yesterday. So look at the similarities. You had the police say yesterday. What did the police say? And Akshita, what did the police say? The police said the front organizations facilitate procurement of supplies, right?
Yeah.
This is exactly what the UPA said in 2014. The police said they also initiate legal action on various issues to slow down enforcement regime. It's also what the UPA said in 2014, which is written down here. It also says it has come to notice that members of such front organizations are mentoring professional revolutionaries to be inducted into the underground movement. What UPA said in 2014 is what the police is saying in 2018. And it tells you the hypocrisy of the Congress party, which today is questioning the government and the crackdown and saying these are nothing but NGOs. Just take us to that portion, Akshita, and how similar it is to what the police is saying. So UPA is saying exactly what the police UPA said rather what the police is now saying, word to word.
Absolutely. So Maharashtra police yesterday detailed out, Niranjan, how the arms racket was being run, how they were helping in recruitment, how there was a talk about overthrowing the current government. Now you go through this particular list. In 2014, this is the official reply in the floor of the House in the Lok Sabha given by the UPA government. Under the MHA, it states exactly the same reasons. This is word to word. Point number one, they speak about how the overground front organizations provide safe hideouts to armed cadres, mentioned by the Maharashtra police. Point number two, they talk about procurement of supplies to the Maoist war machinery. This, the police has given ample proof of in their press conference yesterday, where they also mentioned, of course, of that password-protected arms catalogue. They then go on to talk about providing legal action on various issues to slow down the enforcement regime. Now, we know that several of the accused in these cases, people have been arrested, many of them activists, some of them advocates, all of them being taken in. And this is an allegation that was put forth by the police in the court as well. Besides that, they spoke about adept at dissemination of propaganda, disinformation to demonize the state as well as the security forces. The Maharashtra police yesterday spoke about how there is an attempt to overthrow the government. That is the ultimate aim of these accused, and also about the fact that there was an attempt to fund the stone pelting in the valley and in Manipur. All of this mentioned by the Maharashtra police, mentioned by the UPA as well. Let's also, even as we continue showing this to our viewers, go across to Dinesh Vashni, who's joining us on the phone lines. Mr. Dinesh Vashni, 2013 affidavit with us, where the UPA speaks of how these urban Naxals are a threat to India, how they're trying to go ahead and back CPI Maoists. 2014, this is the reply that I have in my hands that the MHA under the UPA government put out on the floor of the House, where they speak of the kind of threat these urban Naxals provide. They've also mentioned Varavara Rao's organization as the very first name in the list of these organizations that are a front for Maoists. Are you going to continue to back these people and call them activists, call this a crackdown, an emergency-like situation?
Yes, this is emergency-like situation. They are definitely human rights and civil rights activists. And whatever, whether Congress has given an affidavit or the present government is doing it to hide the arrests of the Bide and Hote, to shelter them, this is the nature of the capitalist state. And every capitalist state will try to see to it that those who are fighting for the marginalized, or those who are fighting for the farmers,
Dinesh Vashni, this is where your dissent argument completely crumbles. Because, even as you're saying that this is an attempt to muzzle the voices of those who are against the government and whatnot, you've got the UPA suggesting the exact same action, suggesting the exact same motive, putting out the same narrative that the Maharashtra police has.
No, look, today it is clear now that in Maharashtra, that fellow who has given a report of the Bide and Hote after Bhima Koregaon, he said that the government of Maharashtra has not acted against the Bide and Hote. It is clear that why this government is doing this.
No, but
so it has become very much clear.
No, Dinesh Vashni, you're not answering my question. Now, you're saying that there is some sort of hidden agenda, motive of the government to act against these people. The UPA has suggested the same action. The UPA has suggested that all of these names, they are involved in the exact same charges that the Maharashtra police has put out yesterday.
You see, that's why I say every capitalistic state will have the similar nature, whether it is under Congress or under BJP. Anybody who works for the marginalized will be branded as extremists or terrorists, so that the people stop fighting against the for the marginalized, and they work in the direction of the monopoly profit and crony capitalist profit.
So the left continues to maintain that all of this is a conspiracy, despite the kind of proof that's come to light. Dinesh Vashni, thanks for joining us. But the left continuing to maintain that be it the Congress or the BJP, all of this is some sort of a witch hunt against the activists. And Niranjan, we're continuing to put this out. You've got the 2013 affidavit. We've got the 2014 written reply in the Lok Sabha as well, where the UPA has very categorically demanded action against these urban Naxals, listed exactly what the Maharashtra police has spoken about an arms racket, about how there is an attempt to destabilize the current government, overthrow the government, and also about brazenly helping in recruitment, in funding of the CPI Maoists.
Well, absolutely. And, we'll keep a track on the story. Two affidavits. It's a story of two affidavits and an investigation that continues because, there's something has changed and we don't know what that is. 2013, 2014, they call them Maoist fronts. In 2018, they call them NGOs. And as we speak, Dinesh also has an angle where opposition parties, some opposition parties are being named in these letters. Which are these opposition parties? We don't know. We'll try and find out. Stay with us, taking a short break. Back with the breaking news update on Republic TV.